member of the NDC's national communications team. Now, we want to talk about the new Black Stars coach because yesterday he was outdoored. We have expectations as a country following the performance of Coach Otuado, who sadly we had to let go. But we have a new coach. Now, will Carlos be able to deliver what was on the minds of the Ghanaian people, particularly quest to win for the very first time the World Cup? Is it even a possibility or is it not? We'll get into that conversation. And then also in South Africa, there's chaos. There's violence that's happening in South Africa. Xenophobia is up on the rise again. They call it Dudula. And now, what exactly does Dudula mean? Dudula means to force down, to push down, or to cut down. And they're asking all who are not South Africans dwelling in South Africa, who do not have the requisite documentation, largely, to move out of South Africa and not to access certain services. We'll get into that conversation, how that flies in the face of diplomacy, bilateral relations, African unity, and most importantly, whether or not we learned any lessons from apartheid. And then we'll get into the conversation about the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill, protection of values, and then some are asking, is it a threat to rights? That's what it is. The last time, the law was fully passed, but was not assented to as a bill. Now, there are two schools of thought. One that says, let's go back, a blessing in disguise because it was not signed in the past, to have it reworked so it can fit the changing fortunes of time. And then you have another school of thought that says that, no, we had the benefit of all these discussions in the past. Let's just go ahead and get it signed. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, Johnny.
Good morning, good morning. How are we doing, sirs?
By the grace.
Nice. How's it going for you?
Oh, it's going very well.
Are you sure?
Oh, yes.
You have no fears?
Oh,
on the grounds?
None whatsoever. The grounds are fertile.
Are you sure?
What is the contestant?
National organizer of the NPP.
Okay, I'm not aware.
Now you are aware.
Okay. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nine gentlemen,
Yes.
Sakura and Biedela. From the biblical times, I understand people like us are blessed from above. May that blessing follow you.
Amen.
Hey, Charlie.
I receive
There's alliance happening in the studio. Ma, has the week been for you?
Oh, as always, God has been merciful. Once you are alive and kicking, you know, it's a matter of time. I always tell the youth of this country to have patience. It's time. We are too much in a hurry. Time has a way of revealing everything. And sometimes we are too much in a hurry as if the world is coming to an end today. And that breeds greed. And you find ourselves in so many non-ethical things. And I was reading yesterday about a young banker who diverted 12 million Ghana cedis from a company's account that was entrusted in his hands. And if you look at the expenses that the investigation uncovered, it's typical of what the thinking of the Ghanaian youth today is. And I think we must begin to do self-awareness and move away from material things and see how we can contribute to our dear country. You see, Rome was not built in a day. It's just like a woman getting pregnant 9 months. You have to crawl before you begin to take your first step. But it looks as if we are too much in a hurry. On that basis, let me salute the Ghanaian youth, the people of Saboba, where I'm privileged to come from, and to our dear and cherished listeners.
You still want to be the IMP?
Who helps
For Saboba.
Well, I always say this, it's in the hands of God.
So I'm also looking at an incoming MP.
So, and Johnny, a special one to you and your production team.
Great.
Your mother company.
Thank you.
Media General, for the good works you are doing for Mother Ghana.
Great. Now,
John, let me
Yes.
add a few to what my brother Ima just said. You know, you mentioned that a woman getting pregnant. You know, how important is time? No matter how many men, no matter the effort, if a woman gets pregnant, you still have to wait 9 months
that's right.
before the baby come out. So patience and buying time is very, very key. And in this social media dispensation, we see fast money here and there, and you see, but everything that glitters is not gold, as we found out. People
Indeed.
come and showcase what they are not on
Indeed.
social media, while
Indeed.
they are completely different. So my advice to the young listeners, is not to move with the hype. Is to look at yourself, develop yourself, and make sure that you are ready when opportunity comes. So let me also say good morning to the listeners and to you, Johnny, and my brother Emmanuel here in the entire studio. And I'm glad to be here this morning, and we thank God for today.
Great. It's some 24 minutes to the top of the hour 9 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Ima, do you like football? We have a new coach. Are you aware?
I love football.
You love football. We have a new coach. What do you think?
Well,
Is he going to fit the bill?
I think that we have to be patient, as I mentioned again, with our football. I don't think we need to measure this coach per his performances on the pitch.
Right.
I think there are structural issues with our football.
Which are?
The lack of accountability from the Ghana Football Association as an institution, and the state of our Premier League.
Right.
And how we develop our youth teams. You see, Johnny, you cannot just wake up and get stars. You remember those days that the Blastales went to conquer the world. It translated It translated to the Black Satellites and the Meteors and onto the Blasters. You realize in our 2006 World Cup showing, we were very competitive.
That's right. Stephen Appiah led team.
So if we don't develop the base and you want to conquer at the top, it doesn't work. You can even bring Jesus Christ as the coach of Ghana. Nothing is going to happen. So I think that we shouldn't be too expectant that this coach is coming to perform magic. The coach can be good, but if the material before the coach is not good, we are going to get the same kind of thing. So to me, I don't have any huge expectation. I only pray that we have to really manage our expectations and don't forfeit our fufu like we do. But we have to put more emphasis, and GFA have to look at how they can develop our Premier League. At the moment, those leagues are not competitive. Look at where Kotoko is lying. Last season, House of Folk struggled. The lack of accountability at that front is also another issue to discuss another day. And Johnny, when we were growing up, the inter-schools, look at how it was very competitive. These days, we don't hear about that. The last one we heard was laced with violence, with students going to stadia with armed to attack their fellow colleagues. So I think that it's a huge challenge as a country we have to really manage. And you see, it falls from our family value systems. That is why, as a country, we must not lose sight of our values. We are a 70% Christian country and about 30% Muslims. And if you look at our values, they are all the same. But it looks as if globalization and the infusion of these social media things, we are losing sight of our own children, how we bring them up. We feel that pampering our children, giving them smartphones, and then giving them good life is nurturing them to be useful leaders tomorrow. No. I always say this story every now and then, Johnny. The first time I wore slippers was when I gained admission to St. Charles to go to secondary school. But then I hadn't gone out of the corridors of Sabuba. And it's a fact. And if you look at Sabuba, people consider some of us to come from the privileged homes, because my father was one of the famous trained teachers in Sabuba. So you can imagine that. So where we sit now, when we look back, we are so grateful to God. We never even dreamt that we will have opportunity to be sitting where we are sitting. So it is a plea to parents. I think that we are losing our responsibilities on our children, and that is feeding into many of our institutions. It's not only football. Look at other institutions. We are failing. If you look at the index and you just oppose it over some few years ago. So it means that something is materially and critically missing we have to address. So we need to really manage our expectations with our Black Stars. Even if Jesus Christ is brought as the coach, I'm not sure anything is going to change. So we need to go back to the basis and get everything right up there. If the foundation is strong, the building will stand. So if you are building on a weak foundation, as we currently have with our Ghanaian Black Stars, that is a recipe for disaster. And I think that we have to really manage our expectations. Sincerely, I don't think if you look at the current
So you are not seeing what the dreams of the semi-finals and the finals
no,
for
we
us?
can't get there. If you look at the current squad we have and the current state of affairs and the time frame to prepare these men for the tournament.
And the fact that our minister is also injured.
Yes, Kudus.
It will be a miracle.
Yeah.
I see. Interesting. Let's hear the coach, the new coach, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Prempe, Engineer Prempe.
My voice is okay in the room. Everybody listen. It's okay. All right. Thank you very much for your introduction and the kind words. Thank you very much for your introduction and the kind words you addressed to me. And my first words are exactly to express my gratitude and tell, starting from the Federation, President, the Board, the government of Ghana that support me, the fans, that is an honor and a privilege for me to be here today. Very, very special. I know since I arrived, I start to feel it, that this is the soul of the Black Stars. Yesterday, I saw and I feel the vibration, and I start to realize that the soul of the Black Stars is huge. It is huge. So that means that our dream and expectations are also huge. I must say that after 8 national teams and a couple of important competitions, this is the biggest challenge of all my entire career. And I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that. I can promise and guarantee to you that I will bring 40 years of my knowledge and experience to every single division of Ghana. I am a coach, you can see my CV, that fortunately with the help of God and my players, I have a symbolic record of wins in the game in terms of international games. And in a humble way, I can say I feel good on that. So I trust and I believe that with the support of my staff, support of the board, the support of the press, support of the friends and the fans, special, the supporters, all together, one Ghana, united, with the cohesion and with a lot of ambition, I believe and I trust that we can do it. We can bring success and happiness for the people. So, in a simple way, I can say to you, I feel ready. Are you ready also? Sorry, I didn't listen. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's do it together. Let's do it.
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
That's our brand new coach, Coach Carlos, with 40 years of experience under his sleeves. He's asking the question, are you ready? let's do it together. Engineer, it's your turn now, but let me welcome Lawyer Benjamin Alpha on the ticket of the NDC Council. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you in flesh and blood. Now, Engineer Pepe, he says, are we ready? And then the people said yes, and then he says, okay, then let's do it together. But is that all there is to all of what our aspirations are?
You see, I think that when we fired Otuado, you know, what I said was, I think the time is too short. It's too short for somebody to come in, no matter how good the person is, to be able to translate his vision, you know, to the players. I think we have, 2 more friendly matches upcoming. That is it. How long is the camp going to be for him to be able to translate his vision to the team? And for me, if we look at the experience, yes, he's a top coach. I mean, he's an experienced coach. He used to be with Ferguson at Man United for a very long time. He's coached Iran for so many years in Africa. I think he's done South Africa and Egypt. So he's been to the World Cup, you know, so many times. I think he has about 16 games. You know, though his win percentage is quite on the low side, but you know, he's I think my brother was saying he's a coach that has, you know, taken teams to the World Cup who went there not to win the World Cup.
Right.
I mean, let's
they went to show their faces.
They went to show their participation. For them, the participation was the most important thing. You know, and as my brother Ima was saying, that is what we should expect, you know, from the Black Stars. If we are able to cross the group stages, I think we should be happy about it, right? But looking at the whole thing holistically, you know, let me give some examples. In 1988,
right,
you know, the French Football Federation, you know, started something, an academy they called, I think, Clairefontaine, right? And it was to groom the youth into football,
right?
And that translated 10 years later into the World Cup in 1998. So performing at that stage doesn't come in isolation. It needs deliberate development, deliberate strategy before you can get it at a certain level. I think Ghana, we were lucky to get to the quarterfinals in 2010.
Yes, that's right.
So because of that, we are a bit oblivious, or we are blind to the fact that we are not developing the country from the grassroots. You know, Coates is dead.
Yes, it is, you know,
indeed.
Munchendi and all those things are dead.
You know, Interco is also dead. You know, right now I've spoken to a few of my friends who run academies in Ghana, and they are so aim.
It's to
sell
the
players.
players. Yeah,
that's their sole aim. It's not to develop the players. Some of them don't even want their team to participate at the highest level in Ghana because they don't see any benefit or any value in doing that. You know, so unless we go back to the basis and we develop from the ground and we keep importing players that have been developed elsewhere, I don't think the Black Star is going anywhere. And unfortunately, that is the case with all our sports, not only football. I think every single sport in Ghana, we are not developing it from the grassroots. And unless we as a people see the need to go back to the basis and develop the grassroots football and then grow it from then on, it will happen. How many of the current Black Stars, you know, participated in the junior teams? Let's look at that. When Black Stars was Black Stars, you see them developing together at the youth stage, then they move to the next level, they move, and then they come to the Black Stars. So they've been together for so many years. You know, the French team that won the 1998, they had been together from the youth, played together, developed together. The English team, that with Southgate, they went to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and to the final consecutively. These people played together from the youth. They developed together. They've been seeing each other.
So that bond is there.
They have that bond. They've built it. That frequency that we are doing, I don't think is going to bring us anywhere. We have to get back to basis.
What do you think? Do you have a different view?
Yeah, Johnny, I largely associate with Prempe on a lot of the views. My view is that we need to deal with the structural issues.
Right.
That's where true success will come from.
So that's the common denominator among all of you.
Yes. As for interim coaches and all of that, they will try and get you some wins and all that. But the coaches only work with the materials available, the systems available, all right, and the prevailing circumstances around the way you have organized your football. So, obviously, Carlos Queiroz is a top coach. He has the requisite experience and all that. I'm just a bit worried that in the last 5 years, he's not coached any top football country. Iran, Qatar, Oman or so. But you cannot doubt his previous credentials. Again, I would, and that's a matter of a personal preference, that we had gone for proven African winners like Hervé Renard.
Right.
We should have just taken our time, gone for Hervé Renard. Because I'm not sure that there would be any payment or the rate or fee disparity between Hervé Renard and Carlos Correa so huge that Carlos Correa is a good bargain.
Right.
Hervé Renard, top coach. He's done it not once, twice on the African continent. Done it with Saudi Arabia, took them to the World Cup, beat Argentina. So he is a proven winner. He's somebody that has always expressed interest in coaching the Black Stars.
Right.
Because he was once our physical trainer.
Okay.
I think either under Ratome Duchkovic or Claude Leroy. You know.
It was Leroy.
Yes. So
Leroy.
he's always had an affiliation with Ghana. He knows the African terrain. You don't have to introduce him to anything again. He is already very, very familiar. And that's a matter of personal opinion. I think that we should have. And giving him a long term. That after this World Cup, let's target the next AFCON and see how best we do. But then we went in for Carlos Correa. It's an experiment. I understand the contract is solely for this World Cup.
That's right.
So
So
let's
that
see.
it's conditional though.
Yes. Let's see how well we do at this World Cup, and then after maybe we'll see if we can give him some additional time. But I think that, like we have all said, structural issues is where
Did
we
we
must deal.
did it take forever before we came to the realization that Otuado had to go?
Yes, I think we took too long. Look, for any serious footballing nation, once the coach does not qualify you for your continental championship, that coach should have been dismissed the very day that our non-qualification was confirmed. It's unacceptable that 54 countries in Africa, we are looking for 24 to go and play football. And Ghana is not, and it doesn't happen. I mean, the last time we were out was when? 2000 and I think one of the 2004 or 2000, that's when we didn't go to the AFCON. It was one of the AFCONs. But apart from that, consistently,
We've been
that's
there.
even though in the last 3 editions, we've had only one win at the AFCON, one match at the AFCON. That's how terrible and low our football has sunk. But the AFCON failure, lack of qualification to AFCON, should have been the breaking point. And we delayed this. And people say that give him credit for qualifying us to the World Cup. Obviously, he has to be given credit for qualifying us to the World Cup. But you have to look at the details. The countries we played against. And look at the other countries we have played outside those matches. Outside those matches, all the other matches we have played, we have lost. We have lost. Outside Chad and these other countries that we beat them for the World Cup, we have lost the other matches.
Yeah.
So yes, there were serious problems. And Otuado should have gone right after our non-qualification was confirmed. We just took a bit too much.
Okay.
And we just hope that the coach would prove that when you bring in an experienced coach for...
He's coming with 5 of his people, isn't he?
Yes, but he's also going to retain some of
That's right.
Ghana staff. And I actually like that blend.
Okay.
Preserves institutional knowledge because he's not been here before.
Right.
So he's going to keep, I understand he's going to keep John Pinto, Fatah Dauda, and then I think there's Monofe still around the team.
Right.
It is a good blend, you understand? Because normally, when new coaches come, white coaches, they overhaul the entire system. Coaching is not
Sunrise
only
on
about
3FM.
it's also about cultural knowledge and institutional knowledge about the team and where they've come from.
Right.
So blending his own staff with that of Ghana, I think is a good idea.
Great.
But then we need to look at the long term, AFCON and other issues, and then deal with the structural issues that we need to deal with for our football to move forward.
Mr. Solomon Ozu, welcome.
The man Johnny the Hugh,
Director of Communications of the United Party.
the only party with a vision.
Party
Party that is forming the next government. You know what?
You are forming the next government, and you are no punctual.
4 people are here. You spoke, he spoke, he spoke. I'm about to speak. You say someone was not punctual. What are you talking about?
But if we all decided to come the time you are coming, who will start?
So I know you were a footballer.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
surprised that you didn't take football serious.
Oh,
And you
because-
decided now to use your mouth to be dribbling things. But what are your views of this new coach that we have and the forward march for us as a country?
It's a total waste of our time. You see,
Oh, pardon?
total waste of our time. We have only succeeded in giving a pensioner some money to rest with.
Oh,
Absolutely. Now, you see, those that took that decision, we must mark all of them. The 12-member executive committee of the Ghana Football Association, all of them will not get away with it this time around.
but why must we mark them?
Because they have been doing this thing over and over and they get away with it. They bring us coaches, come and mess the football, and at the end of the day, they are there untouched. This time they will be touched. They will be exposed beyond all reasonable doubts. The decision to sack Otuado was an emotional one.
Why do you say that? He couldn't qualify as
He
the AFCON?
qualified to the World Cup.
Yes, but he
Hate
couldn't.
him or love him.
Yes. And
Also-
yesterday, Carlos
He admitted. And you know,
that. And he thanks him for that.
The voice that you played, did you listen to me carefully?
Yes.
He said his success hinges on prayers and his players.
Not experience.
Not experience, though, is it? With the help of the.
Yes, he said prayers. Yeah.
Prayers, and his players.
But I said, that's why I said, even if you make Jesus Christ the coach of Ghana Black Stars,
Carlos Queiroz.
Oh, what is wrong with him?
Carlos Queiroz.
40 years experience.
Because of him, I nearly left Real Madrid.
Oh,
Carlos Queiroz.
his time
73-year-old, a country that wants to build its football.
The best in the
Eh?
morning.
You say we are in crisis. You are going to bring a very sharp coach, retiree. To do what?
with experience.
He
Yeah.
has no experience. What is experience? Experience in what? In failing. You see, let me tell you, you have had your stints.
Okay.
This is my view.
Okay.
Otuado shouldn't have been sacked in the first place. Because the time frame, the European season is not even over. It's going to end somewhere. Most of the league seasons will end 20th of May.
Right.
Now the Champions League itself will take place. The final will take place somewhere the 1st of May, meaning that this coach tentatively will have about 2 weeks to prepare the players. Now,
Sunrise on
what would
3
it profit or
FM,
benefit
the
this
best in
country
the
if
morning.
all that Carlos Queiroz is going to do at the World Cup to see to it that Ghana is going to get out in the first round, which is going to happen anyway?
Oh, why are you
yes.
being a prophet
No,
of
it's
doom?
not, bro. You see, it is a reality. Don't expend. You see, we should not mislead the citizens of this country to invest all their heart in it when you know that it's garbage in and garbage out. The quality of players, do you have? You tell me your players, the quality that they have, that can match the rest of the world.
Well, they can do something.
No, they can't do. The only thing we can do is reduce the number of goals. That one, I will agree with them. But in terms of many,
Reduce the number of goals that they will concede.
that one, your goalkeeper. The last time we were playing, we played. What's the name? Austria area boss. I don't know whether the guy, someone was pulling him. We are not there yet, and that is why I agree. I listened
Sunrise
to the one
on
I was
3
coming.
FM,
They need to
the best
invest
in the
in the
morning.
game.
But Solo, you have played football
Yes.
before.
Yes.
I mean, I get people talking to me about how skillful you were on the field. and
No, I
all
knew
that.
how to play football, pa.
What are we missing? What's that ingredient that is missing from back in the day when you were actively playing football to what we have now? I mean, we've spoken about intercore, we've spoken about
Exactly.
Colts football, Wonchendi, and all of those.
Exactly.
But is that really the panacea?
That is it. That's the panacea. We must go back to the basis. Get the coast football and the area football running. Monday starts in Accra.
Yes.
If you watch, the
Bawaleshi
quality
and-
is even better than the kind of play that Black Star players are giving to us. Because if you look at the current make of the Black Stars, a lot of them, we brought them from Europe. They have not been able to integrate very well in terms of culture. You understand? Ghana as a country, Spain at a point realized that the country didn't have any identity in terms of football. So they started introducing this tiki-taka, tiki-taka. Ghana, naturally, we are skillful. So if you come in and start introducing this British type of football, kick and run, like Speaker Babin was telling us, you spin. That one does not win. The average Ghanaian wants to express himself on the field of play. So go back to those days, let the boys, the young ones, catch them young and introduce that skillful mentality so that we have a pattern. All the periods that we won the Africa Cup of Nations, we had outstanding skillful players. That is our make, that is our niche. But now we seem not to be playing to any pattern. And the local
Is it because we're not paying attention to the local players in terms of the call-up to
no,
the Black
the
Stars
local
and
league
the
has been collapsed. So, I mean, frankly, there is no quality in there. If you don't have quality in there, how are you going to feed
after
them?
all, they bring back the love.
Oh, there is no love. These people, football people.
What have they done to you?
These football people. You know those days, that we had people that thought of the country. Alaji MND Jawula was a GFA president.
That's
That
right.
the case.
He was indeed.
Go and check during his time whether we had a lot of real Tamale support footballers in the national teams.
Sunrise on
It was about merit. He was the football FA president, yet in every call-up, you had either Kotoko and Haas dominating. Even players from where? BA United, into Ojan and go, where did they come from? So there was an opportunity. This time around, deliberately, people have formed their clubs and they are members of the executive committee, and because they want their players to be sold outside, they cause coaches to call them and then disfigure the entire
You don't
national.
have evidence to this.
Oh my goodness, these football
this
people. You see, that's why I said the 12 people that claim they did this selection for us. Carlos Cures, all their names are there. When we are done, because you get here after the World Cup, you look for me and say, but you yourself, you know that we are not going to get anywhere.
Oh no,
but because of where you are sitting,
I'm not saying.
one day you will also sit here and we do this banter. It is not going to get anywhere. So let's start from the base. Even the starlet. Have you remember the last time? Do you remember the last time we qualified to the Under-20 World Cup? Have you addressed your mind to it?
No, I haven't paid.
We have not been able to qualify because the quality is not there. And every national team is a feed up from the starlet to the satellite. The satellite mostly feeds the national team.
Right.
So if you're a satellite, the metro is even a mischief, like the appeal court.
Yeah.
But the critical point is the satellite.
Appeal court is not makeshift, so I beg you.
And there you are,
Don't look for trouble for me.
So the satellite is not performing and it is affecting your senior national team. Why are they not performing? Because the basis, the grassroots football is not going on well. Everybody at the GFA wants to be associated with the senior national team because that's where the top is.
I see. Anyway, let's move on this conversation.
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
And it's 2 minutes after 9. Now let's listen to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa. He's also Member of Parliament for the North Tongue constituency in the Volta region. He's been very livid about the situation in South Africa, the xenophobic attacks on fellow blacks by South Africans who call themselves Dudula. Now, Dudula means to push down, cut down, or to cut away. And they are not happy because they say that other nationals have come to take what belongs to them, their jobs, hospitals, schools, etc. So in videos that have gone viral, you either see people being beaten, and one of such individuals was a Ghanaian who has since been connected to authorities and is receiving response, but he was being beaten by a mob. And then you had other instances where children are being driven away from school because they claim that they are not South Africans. And then even hospitals, people are being asked to wake up or get up and leave the hospitals. And then you have a situation where people's shops are now also being closed. Question is, what is really going on and what can we do to reverse the trend? Did we ever learn anything at all from apartheid? Here's the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa.
As Africans, we all know the role we play in assisting South Africa to defeat the apartheid regime. Right here in these hallowed grounds, the precincts we find ourselves. This used to be the International Students Hostel. We hosted a lot of freedom fighters from South Africa and many parts of Africa. Ghanaian taxpayers took care of the scholarships they were provided, the meals they were provided. We issued passports, Ghanaian passports, when they were declared stateless and when they could not travel freely. We issued Ghanaian passports to them, right here in these premises. We extended support, financial support, to the ANC. And that is why when President Nelson Mandela was released, He came to Ghana and thanked Ghana, then under the leadership of His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. All of us as African leaders must condemn that. And we must remind those fringe elements who are in the extreme minority that they cannot divide us, that we remain united in our common struggles, in our common destiny, and that our solidarity is unshaken, is unbreakable, and we will continue to band together as Africans. We will do everything as a government to protect our nationals and to make sure that we demand from the South African government to protect our citizens and to keep them safe, because they owe them that duty of care. Just as we will continue to make sure that all South Africans living in Ghana are safe, are protected, and we will not encourage any reprisal attack. We will condemn it, and we will not even contemplate. As Africans, we all know the role we played in assisting South Africa to defeat the apartheid regime. Right here in these hallowed grounds, the precincts we find ourselves. This used to be the International Students Hostel.
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
You're live on 3FM 92.7. My guest in studio, Mr. Emmanuel Kutin. He's a security and counter-terrorism expert. Mr. Solomon Owusu, he's the Director of Communications for the United Party. Engineer Prempe is a member of the NPP's National Communications team. He also hopes to become the national organizer of the NPP. And Benjamin Alpha is a private legal practitioner. He is also a member of the National Communications team of the NDC. Let's begin with you, Ima, on this xenophobic attack and matters arising. Our minister has been talking tough. Cyril Ramaphosa has come under heavy criticism, but then it doesn't seem to be improving. The calls and the harassments are ongoing. What should we do from a security perspective?
Well, Johnny, I think this is a very unfortunate development some of us are witnessing in South Africa. It's not the first time it's happening. If you look at history, this is about the fourth time South Africans are attacking their fellow South Africans. We can't be brothers in blood and strangers in peace. I think it exposes the Pan-African identity we have all
Sunrise on
grown up
3FM,
to
the
understand.
best in the morning.
Because South Africa apartheid was liberated through the African blood. And if you look at the role in terms of solidarity Ghana played in those days, our foremost President Nkrumah, he was hosting ANC and PAC members here, even the freedom fighters, and the 1958 conference that was held here that even gave hope to the fight and gave solid foundation to the fight against apartheid in South Africa. And you recall that it was even because of same reasons Nkrumah was hated by the West, because he was trying to pull all African countries together
Sunrise
for a common
on 3FM,
identity.
the best in the
And
morning.
the CIA plotted and got him overthrown. So to me, we have to frame it right. I don't think it is xenophobia. It's Afrophobia. Attacking an African, your fellow African. Xenophobia, if you look at it, is quite distinctive than what we are witnessing. When you attack your fellow African, you can say that is xenophobia. To me, I will coin it as Afrophobia. So we have to call it what it is. And I think there are structural inequalities in South Africa post apartheid. And the most critical one we can look at is unemployment. And you see, the South African politicians after Mandela have failed to deliver what they promised its people. and they are kind of scapegoating my African migrants as the source of the problems in South Africa. Truth be told, I have worked with many of them in the UK when I was schooling there. A lot of them are very lazy. A lot, very lazy.
Oh.
And truth be told, a lot of them
Lazy in what terms?
they don't like to work. Look at Soweto. The uprising from Soweto and what is happening here. You can sell your lands to whites for crumbs. After you consume what has been given to you, you come back in the name of reclaiming your lands. Where, John, if you sell your land to somebody and after finishing enjoying with the loot, can you come back and say you want your land back?
The name of the place is Soweto.
Soweto.
So where to?
So where to? And so to where to? So Johnny, it's a very fluid situation, and I think Ghana must move beyond the rhetoric. I think our foreign affairs minister must begin to realize that quiet diplomacy has no work. We should have some form of retaliatory actions. And
In terms of what? Closing down shops? Asking
not necessarily.
South Africans who live here to go away or what?
I think that we can even, as a matter of agency, expel the South African ambassador. As a first measure, we should
The High
expel him.
Commissioner.
The High Commissioner, to show how serious we view their actions. And Johnny, you see, we have something we call the solidarity debt. And any country that contributed to the liberation of Africa can call for that debt at the African Union level. Ghana can, as a matter of agency, trigger that process at the African
Sunrise
Union
on 3
to
FM, the best
ask for
in the
our
morning.
solidarity debt from South Africa. South Africa cannot go to international court suing Israel over Palestine while it's
At the
mistreating-
ICC.
yes, at the ICC, while it is mistreating African migrants on their own land. How do you even marry the two? So I think it's a shame. It's a blunt on our Pan-African identity, and it's not acceptable anywhere. And you see the loud silence of ECOWAS, the African Union, and SADA by itself sends some signals of complicity, because this is a very serious matter, and it's not the first time it has happened. And what South African politicians do is that they take this issue of Afrophobia as an alibi, because when you scapegoat the
Sunrise
migrants,
on 3
whatever
FM, the
inefficiencies
best in
that
the
is
morning.
going on in the country, the citizens who we shy away from talking about it. And South Africa government has failed to deliver the employment it promises people, deliver services. So I ask myself, look at when white South Africa was invoked. It was comparable to any European country. Now we blacks have come to take over in the name of democracy, and look at the decline South Africa is witnessing. So you ask yourself, is it the case that we as Africans, we cannot manage anything on our own? Anything about the white is the right thing? So if you look at it sincerely, the unemployment issues are not caused by the African migrants at all, and by extension our fellow Ghanaians who are hardworking and doing businesses there. If you go there, many of the businesses you see Ghanaians and Nigerians doing well, because like I
Sunrise
mentioned,
on 3
the South Africans
the
by their
best in
nature
the
don't want
morning.
to work for anything.
They like to chill,
And they are used
like to enjoy.
They are used to the crumbs they used to receive in the past, where they give them milk and those things on a silver platter.
I think that they still do. They go to their shops with welfare to go and collect their
It's
stuff.
the most deprived areas like the slums.
That's
do
right.
that, but in the cities
They don't,
do
yes,
that.
yeah,
And I
that's
think
true.
that we must hold South African politicians responsible, because the Ubulu or whatever they call it, cut down. They are anti-immigrant pressure groups.
Right.
And these pressure groups have been endorsed by some of the politicians. Otherwise, South African laws are very explicit that it protects both the citizens and the non-citizens. Then this has been violated.
Okay.
What has happened to the perpetrators? Nothing.
Okay.
So it means that the South African government is complicit and it's about time Ghana triggered the necessary diplomatic channels to register our anger at what is happening in South Africa.
I hear you.
And
So,
I call for nothing than the
High Commissioner.
The High Commissioner
I
of
see.
South Africa.
All right. Wouldn't that be too high-handed? I don't know.
No,
But,
look at the rate at distraction as our citizen shops. Some are maimed and wounded. If you look at some of the videos, how can you in modern times corner human beings and be using sticks on them? And you see the lady who was speaking that should go back to your country. Do you know how your country was liberated in the first place? It's so unfortunate.
Solo, step in for me. This is what we have on our hands.
Yes.
Government has issued statements,
Yes.
spoken, press conference.
Yes.
We've met people. What next?
I think the government, through the foreign ministry, is hitting the right notes now. And they will nail it if they go by the advice that Ima has just preferred. The High Commissioner must be sent back home.
Oh.
Yes. You see, diplomacy. It's not only Ghanaians and the rest of Africans that went to a school called diplomatic schools that we understood what is diplomatic to the extent that we are able to come back to Ghana. They come to Ghana and tell our citizens to be accommodating. South Africa, do they think Ghanaians are happy with all the foreigners and their actions in this country? But we are so tolerant. Because first of all, we see humanity. There are a lot of South Africans in this country.
Best in the morning.
You are sacking that young man from his barbering shop. What about me going to MTN and telling them to go out? The two of them who will benefit more. You are sacking the young man from the barbering shop. What about me going to the FNB bank and say, all of you get out? Wouldn't I get asset? Look, we have been doing diplomacy for that long. It's time for us to do tit-a-tit.
Hey.
You pull a gun, we will sit down and begin to talk sense.
No, that would be violent.
No, that's not violent. The only violence going on, is in South Africa. If you show them small, they would understand that. Why don't we have South Africans living in this country?
We are peaceful people.
They are not.
We are.
We are not.
We are not peaceful.
We are only reasonable. We are so reasonable. We started doing coup before them. Remember, we started coup d'etat in this country before them. If we were that peaceful, we couldn't have gotten our independence. The Nibonese and gold that boycotted the buying of a British
Kwabena Boni.
that Kwabena Boni and go, they were not peaceful, but we have chosen to be peaceful. So if they are high commissioners and Ramaphosa, he was living in his childhood, he was in Ghana here.
That's right.
If you cannot put your people right, we will show you how to do it. They have been doing this thing for so long, since 1994. Anytime it happens, all we say is diplomacy, and they continue to do it.
Do you get a sense that South Africa is yet to recover from the pressures and the after effects of apartheid?
No.
That's why they
have recovered long time. Don't let anybody deceive you.
How did you come to that conclusion?
If they are not recovered, the people that should be the target should be the whites. If you go to South Africa, there is a group called AfriForum.
That's right.
AfriForum is purely a white supremacist group, but they will never attack them. With the exception of, say, Malema, that will sometimes talk about AfriForum. Who born dog in South Africa to go and talk about them? They see the white and they'll be attacking West Africans, especially Nigerians, and now they have extended to Ghanaians. They have chosen the wrong path. We will give them the dose of their lives, the march of their life. They will never forget.
Hey.
This will be the last time you hear this dudula in your life. It must end at a point. Let us tell them. It has to end at a point. Look, the gentleman, what gladdens my heart is that there's beginning to be a sense of Ghanaians knowing that, look, we will go back. If he said we should go back. If you listen to the guy after that humiliation, he said, it's time for me to go back home and help build my country. That is a defining moment.
That's right.
So if he is coming back to Ghana, what would be the justification for any South African here? Because now the land that he will be occupied is being occupied by South Africa.
So you have to go back to
it's a replacement swap. As Ima is coming, you the South African must go so that he feels in. It's as simple as that. We cannot always be at the receiving end. Your first president, Mandela, he named your country Rainbow Nation. What was it about? to be accommodating to all people from across the world. We have helped South Africa in several ways, and we continue to help them. The only problem we have is that when you Ghanaians go there, we go and set up churches. I don't know how Ghana.
How is that a
the
problem?
only business we know how to
What do you have against God?
a lot of churches.
What do you have against God?
When they come and
God.
What do you have against God?
So God will not give us that brain to be putting up this empty and stuff.
I didn't say that.
We go out of this country, the source of this land, and all we do is establish churches.
Oh, people have shops and
So that's why I'm so
confectionery shops.
proud of this young man. He's the only man who left the source of this country, went to South Africa, did not establish a church by the barbering shop.
He's not the only one.
After all, that's the only person I know. If you know somebody, give it. You understand? So the High Commissioner, the government of the day, hauling him to answer questions is not enough. The next stage is that you sack them.
How soon should this be so that it sends the strongest
No,
signal?
but by this weekend, you issue their letters of sacking from this country. Look,
Wouldn't that be worsening the situation?
it's not worsening. Laws are made for human beings to also play around it. Do you know we have international law, maritime law that the Strait of Hormuz is never supposed to be closed?
Yes.
It must allow free flow of what?
The goods.
Sunrise.
But now it has been closed.
Thanks to Trump.
Absolutely, because he sees that the diplomacy is not working. And with that, he feels that he's achieving results. For how long can we continue to sit on the same table? Your president always attends AU meetings with our president. The number of Africans, we granting them passports, we giving them money. ANC, their military wing, the Mkonto Wesis wing, was practically financed by the government of Ghana through Kwame Nkrumah. Mandela was coming here for money. We built it, and you have that young lady called Jacinta in South Africa. She's the one leading it all.
Yes, I know.
And everyone is afraid. Everyone talk rubbish to everyone. And we will be in this country, and we are all knowing diplomatic people. No way it will end this year. Xenophobic attacks, Dudula, whatever. This year, you mark this year. By the time we are done with that, you know, the Zambians brought a fight. Later, they came to procure food. South Africans will come here by force.
In fact, there's a lady here from Zambia who is with one of our bloggers.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's here.
Yes.
After that, give me the number.
Engineer.
Your wife will hear.
Engineer.
You know what she's doing, not
Johnny, I think I side with Ima and also Solo. I mean, it's a given. Something must be done about it. You might be drastic about it, you know. But Johnny, I think we must look at this issue holistically.
Okay. In what way?
The point is that all these sanctions that Ima and Solo are mentioning is not going to solve the issue. It's not going to ensure that it won't happen again.
What do we need to do?
You know, let me give you some statistics here. Right, on every given day, 71 people are murdered in South Africa. If you compare with the statistics, in Ghana, it's not even up to 2.
Right.
And they are what? 65 million. We are 32. So that are just
times 2.
Times 2
Right.
of us. But every single day, when you go to rape, you look at the numbers. Every single day, 127 women are raped. When you go to burglaries, every single day, there is 477 break-ins. Car hijacking, every single day, there is 66. So, I mean, for me, there's a big problem in South Africa. Of course, we all know the origins.
But is it a justification for this misbehavior?
It's not. What I'm saying is that until that is resolved, yes, we must react. We must not just sit down. But until that is resolved, this issue will occur again. Because don't forget, people have the tendency of finding scapegoats. It happened everywhere. It happened in UK, though it was not as violent. But the whole exit from the EU was based on the fact that the British people thought that people from Eastern Europe have come in and they are stealing their jobs. The Brexit. That was the main reason. People thought that people are stealing their job. Why is Trump now in the US? A lot of Americans think that Mexicans have come in and they're stealing their jobs.
Right.
So it happens everywhere in the world. Right? And it's unfortunate that it is happening in South Africa. And especially, unfortunately, that Ghanaians
Did
are
they
involved.
not learn any lessons from apartheid?
I think the issue, for me, what I see is that it's a hangover from what in apartheid. Because if you go to South Africa now, right, about 71% of businesses are owned by non-Africans.
That's correct.
Only about 29% are owned by Africans. If you go to the unemployment, I think unemployment is about 32%, in the whole country. But among the whites, it's only 8%. So there's inequality in the economic situation in South Africa. And that dates from apartheid. So everything that is happening now has its roots in apartheid. Yes, they have been liberated. Yes, they are now a rainbow nation. But I think they are not entirely over the let's say what happened or the causes.
But the nation is presented to us as a tourism destination. People visit the place. If you now start hearing reports and you're seeing videos and you're seeing the brutality that's happening, you won't want to go there. That would affect the economy.
Definitely.
The same economy that they are trying to spice up and spruce up.
I agree. I mean, the last time I went to South Africa was about 2 or 3 years ago. Back then, I said about 4 years ago. Back then, my brother, Ochasoredu was the ambassador, was a high commissioner there. When I called him, brother, I'm coming. He advised me places to avoid. So even back then, so that South Africa is dangerous. They didn't start today. Even when they are preaching tourism, they will advise you of places
not to go,
to avoid.
Same advice. Really.
Yes. Now the issue that many Africans have is why are they attacking the Africans and not other nationalities? Right. Now, if you look at the issue critically, I mentioned that people will always find scapegoats.
Yeah.
And when you are finding scapegoats, you find those that are closer to you. You find those that you have access to. Now, a lot of non-blacks do not integrate with the blacks. So a lot of them live in gated communities. Right. They have higher security.
Right.
Whereas Africans, when we go there, we integrate with the South Africans. We live in the same community. We work in the same neighborhood. Our children go to the same schools. So it is easy for them to attack Africans either than other nationals. And it's not like they are not attacking other nationals. I mean, we've heard of the farmers that they are killing. I think last year there were about 40-something farmers, that were killed. If they get the opportunity, they do it. But because we have integrated with them, that is why we are an easy target. But if they don't find solution to what is happening in South Africa in terms of the inequalities, this issue will keep coming and coming and coming and coming.
But are they really willing to work?
That is up to them. That is up to them.
Because the inequality will not come to you on a cart. You have to go looking for working towards.
Yes, I agree. I mean, since 1994, when they gained independence, and when let's say apartheid was abolished, right? They introduced something that they call BBE. I think it's a Black Empowerment, in business. So basically, what they do is that they give you a margin of preference if you're a black-owned company,
right?
And that the idea was to ensure that they bring the black companies out, right? So, for example, if you are a black-owned company and you have the same credentials as a white-owned company, the law is to pick you above the white company. Sometimes even if your credentials are a bit lower, they give you the margin of preference so that they still pick you,
give you an advantage.
Right? They've been doing that. But what has happened over the years? You see black people fronting for other nationals to be able to get them that, business and contracts. And then the net benefit is that the black companies or the black people are not developing as they should. So for me, the issue it has a lot of causes, and definitely we must act. That one I agree totally. We should not just sit there and just let it happen. But what I will say is that it is not going to stop if the root cause is not tackled. And it's not an easy task.
Right.
And it's not up to us. It's up to the South Africans to solve it themselves. We can send
Can we trust them to solve it?
They have to solve it themselves.
When it happened in 2018, we had then Minister of State in charge of all of these things at the presidency come to talk to us. He was very, very emphatic about what was not going to happen again. Now we're in 2026. We are seeing an upgraded version of what happened that we complained about, which we were told would never happen. Can they be trusted to handle their own affairs?
Like I'm saying, right, if the murder rate is 71 people per day, how many Africans have been killed since we started? Non-South Africans. So the issue for me is bigger than just, the xenophobia. And if that issue is not resolved, and I think they are finding it difficult to solve their own issues, right? Now, what Solo is saying, let's march to FN Bank and then close it up. Who would affect? How many Ghanaians are working there, and compared to how many South Africans are working in FNB Bank? If you go to MTN, as we speak now, how many Ghanaians are working in MTN, compared to how many South Africans are working there? So if you go and close MTN now, who's going to suffer? Is it the South Africans or the Ghanaians? So this issue is not that simple. And we must act, I agree. But it's not a simple solution to solve this one. And as long as we are there, I mean, per the statistics, there are about 100,000 Ghanaians over there. And there are less than 4,000 South Africans in Ghana. So as long as we are there, and a few of them are here and they have businesses, this issue is going to be a very, very,
it ought to be solved.
One. And it's not simple.
Okay.
So we must not just say, oh, let's rise up, let's send South Africans away and the issue will be resolved. It's not going to be resolved. It will come back again next year, next 2 years.
29 minutes to the top of the 10 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. That was engineer Prempe. Council, step in for me. You have heard the various views.
Yeah.
But then the channels that our government is adopting to try to remedy the situation, will they work?
Yeah, I think government so far is on top of issues. If there is one politician who can confront these external issues with all the audacity that we expect of our government, then it is Minister Okujeto Ablakwa. And so far, I think...
Why do you say that?
Yes, I mean, we know that he is a man that is very strongly opinionated. And if you look at the way he's revamped Ghana's foreign appeal and Ghana's positions on external matters, it is very clear that these attacks in South Africa are things that he can deal with them. Now, the question we ask ourselves are the channels that we should use in dealing with them and how far we should go to give a pushback to these issues. But before that, while I agree with Prempeh that the issues are not that simple, I disagree that because it is internally generated or they have their own internal issues about murders, rape and all of that, those underlying factors should not be the basis why we as an external country that have been affected push back. Yes, because you see, if you say that because they have their issues, this matter should not surprise us, or that we should not think that we can deal with it externally unless they deal with it internally. We should deal with it from our end because, one, it affects our citizens. Two, when we offer that pushback, that is when it will compel their country to deal with the underlying issues. So if you sit back and say, because there are internal issues, and those internal issues is what undergird these sporadic occasional violence, and therefore the government of Ghana should sit and expect the government of South Africa to deal with the issues while it affects Ghanaian citizens, I think that does not bode well for our protection of citizens abroad. If we give a pushback, the South African government will now start dealing with the underlying issues. And diplomatic channels
and not
are
the main one, not the main issue,
what is the
but the peripheral issues.
He says that the xenophobic attacks is a product of a symptom of violence, rape, murder, and all of that in South Africa. I agree. And I'm saying that while that is true, once it affects our citizens, we must give a pushback that forces them to take strong action to deal with these underlying issues that informs the xenophobia that we see. But for me, these despicable scenes that we've seen in the last 48 hours or so should make us reflect about the channels and the approach with which we deal with South Africa in terms of our diplomatic relations. I think that the time has come for Africa, Ghana and Africa as a whole, to boldly confront South Africa's leadership over these issues. And I think that...
How do you propose we do that?
Yes, I think we must move from quiet diplomacy, like Kuti said. We must move from the quiet diplomacy to the occasional public condemnation, to now even tabling it as a continental issue on the multilateral level at the African Union. The African Union, as a matter of urgency, must table these occasional issues as one of its most important issues to look at. I think yesterday, in the wake of the issues, all the African ambassadors met with
Yes.
the South African.
Yes. It was supposed to have happened the day before,
Yes.
but it couldn't happen. So.
Yes. This is a continental issue. And you see, it defeats the very idea of Pan-Africanism. It defeats our 60 years of chasing one Africa, a borderless Africa, and all of that. So it is an African issue. The fact that it sporadically happens to, let's say, Nigerians and Ghanaians does not take away its continental implications about how Africa is united. So I think we are at a multilateral level now, where the African Union should take it up as one of its core issues to deal with at an emergency congress or at an extraordinary meeting or any meeting that is convened to look at issues of the African Union. It also calls into question how far we should go. And some of the suggestions have been made around the table.
Right.
Should we tie market access to South African businesses to agreement as to how they treat our people there? Is it a question is it something that we should look at? Should we, for example, expel the South African ambassador as a way of saying that we as a strong form of expressing disavowalment for what is happening? These are options on the table. But I would call for a step-by-step approach and a bit of restraint. I think we have moved from quiet diplomacy. I think we have moved from public condemnation. I think we must look at the continental level. I think we must do strong state-to-state pushback in terms of a higher diplomatic relation. I think expulsion of the ambassador should be the last thing. Why? Because
Why should it be?
no, we should not. While that will be,
Wouldn't that send a strong signal?
Yes,
Because
I agree.
Ramaphosa is loudly silent.
I agree.
Since they started last week.
I agree. But you should look at this is, one of the instances or one of the very few times that we've had Ghanaians affected. There are 2 videos.
Right.
There's one that is confirmed.
That's
He's called
right.
Emmanuel.
That's right.
There's another one
Who
that
has since met the High Commissioner?
yes.
Mr.
There's
Kwashi.
another one that they were actually punching one guy.
Yes.
My sources at the Ministry of Affairs says
Foreign
they've
Affairs.
not confirmed whether that person is a Ghanaian or not. They are
Okay.
still, working on that confirmation. So the incident has affected Ghanaians, but we should also look at the broader implications for Ghana-South Africa relations. Even though I agree that expulsion would be the strongest form of pushback, but I don't think that at this point we should throw away the bathwater together with the baby. I think that once we have opened diplomatic relations and we are confronting the issues at a diplomatic level, let's allow these diplomatic channels and what the minister is doing to proceed and see the results we get from there. I think yesterday the South African High Commissioner was summoned. I understand they have also summoned our High Commissioner.
Right.
I can only hope that they are communicating to him steps that they are taking to ensure that these matters do not occur. But I think Ghana should not look at this issue as an abstract one. It is a real test of how, as a state, as a sovereign state, we protect our citizens, defend their economic interest, and assert their dignity outside our shores. And I have every confidence in the leadership of Minister Blakwa to take these matters up and deal with it decisively, as every Ghanaian will be proud
Great.
of.
Let's go to 1963 when Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah himself, at the inception of the Organization of African Union that has now become the African Union,
Yeah.
or Organization of the African Unity. Let's listen to a bit of what he said, and then we'll juxtapose that to what is pertaining now and whether or not we lost our focus or we have just decided to be blind to the issues. Listen.
Plain speaking. And for the sake of Africa, let us speak plainly. As I see it, our greatest danger stems from disunity and the inability to see that the realization of our hopes and aspirations, the realization of our objective of total African independence, and of our future progress and prosperity is inextricably bound up with the necessity to unify our policy and actions in connection with the continued struggle for independence and the greater task of economic and social reconstruction beyond it. We must therefore face the issue of African unity now For only unity will make the artificial boundaries and regional demarcations imposed by colonialism obsolete and superfluous. African unity will thus provide an effective remedy for border disputes and internecine troubles. In a united Africa, there could be no frontier claims between Ethiopia and Somalia, or between Zanzibar and Kenya, Guinea or Liberia, or between Ghana, Togoland, and the Ivory Coast. Because we would regard ourselves as one great continental family of nations. Some of the leaders, it must be confessed, do not see the struggle of their brother Africans as part of their own struggle. Even if they did, they would not be free to express their solidarity. These rifts are consciously created by the imperialists between Africans, where they can sit back and watch with sly satisfaction, as well as contempt for those who fail to see how they are being used against Africa's best interests.
The big conversation on 3FM Sunrise.
19 minutes to 10. And now let's move on to the LGBTQ. Yes.
Let me just correct something that my brother was saying.
Okay, quickly. We don't have to.
Yes, I know. Just a quick one. 1 minute. Just to clarify that, I'm not saying that we shouldn't take any action.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that we should also understand the issue and not expect magic to happen overnight.
Okay.
But
I think that you both said the same thing.
No, but you saying that
our understanding of the issue does not mean that we must not take bold action.
No, we must take bold action.
Yes, but if we understand the issue, then we just relax.
We
understand the issue.
I'm saying we must take bold action, but while taking bold action, you must also understand the issue and also manage expectation.
Okay.
That's what I
hear you.
Across.
Now, LGBTQIA plus, I usually add of GPRT of TUC. But then yesterday there was a public hearing of matters that we already know but have had to be clarified because there's some confusion that's presently ongoing. Samonate George, Minister for Communication, until this new role, he was and still is the Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Pram. He was one of the lead parliamentarian on that private members bill. He appeared before the committee. Here's what he had to say.
The likes of Global Fund claim that they are giving support to Ghana AIDS Commission. Okay. And what is supposed to be the umbrella reason why they are supporting Ghana AIDS Commission? HIV prevention. Meanwhile, we have evidence of Ghana AIDS Commission officers meeting with pro-LGBTQ groups and giving them lubricants. So if Ghana AIDS Commission is supposed to fight HIV, why are you giving lubricants for men to have anal sex with men? And the excuse that they give, and the excuse that is given is that these are people who already have HIV, and so they want them to not spread it, so they are giving them lubricants. That in itself is an activity that continues to perpetrate anal sex between men. So please, we will not open the window for anybody to bring any money for public health or anything. If they really want to fund public health, they should go and give maternal beds for women who do not have beds for delivery, not for anything relative or related to this one. This one will open the door. No. There's a gentleman for whom a video was leaked and an altercation between himself and a male lover of him came up last year. A gentleman known as Educator. Now he can be charged on the basis of the video of male and male intercourse. That is a different thing. But aside from that video that came out, that individual holds himself out and promotes homosexual activity on his social media page. That person is holding himself out, so there is an act, and there is the act's rules and mens rea can be determined from his activity. So you take his activity on social media, his public commentary he has made where he admits to what his sexual preferences are.
So you can't make that statement.
So allow me that. It's not just about making the statement. The actus reus then goes to what has he been doing. The statement is an evidence of the mens rea, the thinking. But the actus reus is in what has he done to actualize the statement that he is this.
So those two must go before you can.
I do not think that this bill should be subjected to fresh national dialogue. In fact, all the CSOs and all the concerns, most of them have gone through, are the same concerns that came up in the first cycle of this bill. The same, all the CSOs who have come today are the same CSOs and stakeholders who participated. And so there is no reinventing the wheel. There is really nothing broken in this bill to be fixed, and for what it should be expedited. And in expediting, we are not also indicating that certain suspects should be detained. We can expedite this bill in a day without compromising any part of our procedures, so long as our standing orders are concerned and so long as the Constitution of Ghana are concerned. And therefore, we would appeal to the leadership that in your magnanimity and in line with the overwhelming concerns of the public who are eagerly waiting for the same bill to be passed, considering that the plethora of legal challenges and battles which delayed its passage and assent, having survived that and terminated the apex court, we don't need to, knowingly or unknowingly, introduce new additions and elements that will further make it vulnerable and prone to challenges that will culminate in another obstacle.
Sunrise on 3FM, the best in the morning.
That's Reverend John Ntim-Forjour. He's Member of Parliament for the Asin South constituency at the Republic of Ghana. He used to be a Deputy Minister for Education. Is one of the proponents of that particular law. We also had before him Sam Nate George, who's Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, is also Minister for Communications and the lead Member of Parliament for that law. They seem to be on two sides of the coin now. In the past Parliament, the 8th Parliament that is, they were on the same side on this particular matter, but now they seem to be sharply divided. So yesterday, Sam George also actually went on to make certain allegations against John Ntim-Forjour relative to some individual who says he might have had some relations with John Ntim-Forjour. Well, he clarified that nothing of the sort happened. But Ima, here we are now. Are we trying to protect our values, or are we trying to impede and trample on people's right?
Well, Johnny, I have this to say about this bill. You see, the law was meant for the people. And if in the exercising of the law, you see that it's not helping and it's a burden on the country, what do? You try to look at amending it. Why are we here talking about this bill? Because the last two sessions of Parliament, it went to the ex-president's desk and he couldn't sign. So once Parliament had gone on recess, the bill automatically closes. It has to start again.
He asked that it should not be transmitted to him because there was a matter in court. Yeah, let's contextualize.
So we have to contextualize that. Yeah. So thanks for this information. So Johnny, I think that we need to amend that clause of our constitution where we had to go back and forth with very serious constitutional matters like this bill. Or you see that the bill is going to start all over again. Look at the financial implication to the state.
Right.
And I think that we have politicized and otherwise very beautiful law per our values and where we come from. Right. And the argument, like you rightly contextualized, is between whether it's the protection of our values or trample on people's rights. The truth of the matter is that it is about our values. And I hold that view that, yes, we are a majority religious country, and once majority of Ghanaians abhor that activity in the name of our values, and even our very constitution even criminalizes that. We shouldn't bow to foreign pressures because of donors, because we are a sovereign country, and I think that we have every right to see to it that we can put legislations in place to regulate how we want to model our values. Look, Johnny, homosexuality is not a good thing. In the West, they may be accepting that because they have the medical facilities to help people who want to be homosexuals. Look at the state of our medical facilities in this country. Already, even our pregnant women are giving birth on the bare floor. And you get our men doing trumo.
Oh, take your time. 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 Take your time.
Like some judge mentioned, he alleged that there is commission distributing lubricants, and the excuse was
a serious matter. It's not a laughing matter.
And the excuse was that these people were already infected with HIV, and they needed to cushion them not to, Look, Johnny, I think that we should stop deceiving ourselves and pass this bill to regulate us.
I hear you.
We are in an African country. Polygamy is accepted here, right?
That's right.
The Western world says polygamy is not accepted in there, based on their own values. So why should we accept homosexuality?
You go begging from them. What do you expect?
On somebody's values?
You go begging from them. What do you expect?
So if you go begging from them and they are giving this kind of unpardonable conditionalities, you look back and leave those things.
Have you not seen a rich man who has a side chick who tells you not to have a side chick because he's paying your school fees?
In fact, so at the end of the day, where do those things even end? Those things don't even go anywhere. I think that from the
rich man is smoking. He tells you smoking is bad, but he's paying your school fees.
Yes.
Smoke. Yeah.
But Johnny, look, morally, it is not good for us as Africans.
I hear you.
We are not yet there.
I hear you.
And I think that we shouldn't also abuse our majority stand. Democracy is about the majority rule, but it is imperative as well that we protect the minority. Those deviants who are practicing this kind of things and they need our help, let's support them.
Okay.
See the kind of psychological counseling we can give them. And then,
So we should not throw them in jail, like the bill is suggesting.
Well, the bill is suggesting jail. And I think that we have to be a bit not harsh on that aspect.
Okay. Allow Prempe to, so we can manage the time. Okay. Thank you. Prempe,
criminalizing is
Johnny, I was very interested to know what his
stance
was thinking in the last submission, what he was ready.
He said we should not be harsh.
I understood that he agreed with the bill, but in his last sentence appears to be a bit subtle in how we deal with them, and that was the very issue that a lot of people were bringing up in 2024 that our brothers in the NDC didn't want to understand, right? And now that they are in power, they are now asking us to understand. Let's look at the bill very well. Let's look at the things that will not work, and let's see how we can manage it. That is double standards to me. Yesterday Sam George was sitting there talking plenty. You are there talking plenty. The bill as it is, you agree with it. Why must it go through all these, discussions?
The chairman of the committee, the Parliamentary Legal Affairs Committee, said that, look, this might be a blessing in disguise that President Akufo-Addo did not sign. Then now they have the opportunity to look at a few naughty areas that in the past were not looked at.
God bless you, Johnny. So if the NDC, including President Mahama, is going to admit what you just said, then let's all sit down and look at it. Let them come out and say they erred in trying to make this political, trying to force it down the throat of President Akufo-Addo. If they agree and they admit that indeed, after looking at it, President Akufo-Addo was right, the MPP was right. So let's look at it properly. As my brother here is saying, maybe these people need psychological support instead of putting them in jail. Last time there was an issue. that was raised by one of the panelists on the show that I was on. It was like, we are trying to prevent two men from having sex. We are now going to put them in jail together. What do you think is going to happen there? The very thing that you are trying to stop. What do you think is going to happen in the prisons when you put all the men together? If you now that we have heterosexual prisons, we know the stories that sometimes come out of there. Yes, sir. So if you are going to admit, if the NDC, including President Mahama, including Sam George, is going to admit that they were wrong in making this thing political, so let's, as a country, come together and see the best way that we can solve it. And I'm sure there are people who are willing to sit down. Let's look at it. Like my brother Iman is saying. Let's look at it. But you can't be double standards and hypocritical about this.
Okay.
And then after benefiting from it, you try to change the narrative.
How did they benefit from it?
Oh, come on.
It was a serious
It was a political tool. We all know, Johnny. We know. It was a political tool that was used against them.
I hear you. Yeah. Benjamin Alpha, step in for me. Where do you stand? You are a lawyer. I'm sure that you have had the benefit of looking at the bill as it is now, or the draft, if you will, because it's not a bill anymore. What do you say?
First of all, the fact of the issues surrounding this LGBTQ bill, especially in the lead up to the 2024 elections, are that there appeared to be a groundswell of moral support in favor of passing that bill, in accordance with our cultural norms and all of that. Issues were raised about constitutionality and human rights. All of that were discussed in the consideration of the provisions, right? Both members on the NDC and MPP side agreed that certain provisions, while we need that bill, which will reflect our moral values and all of that, certain provisions are problematic, and those were the things taken into consideration in the lead up to the proposition of that bill. Prempe says that the NDC was hypocritical and hung this issue around the NPP's neck. It was not the NDC that did that. The NPP, their conduct themselves did it. First of all, when we were considering these issues, right, the flag bearer of the NPP at the time, Dr. Baumia, also agreed with President Mahama that we needed a bill like that. He agreed. In meetings, he said that we needed a bill like that.
Per his religion.
Yes, per his religion. Yes, so then, what the NDC said was that if you agree, and you indeed do agree that we need a bill like that, then let President Akufo-Addo assent to the bill. Remember that President Akufo-Addo did not refuse to assent to the bill because he had problems with provisions. In fact, what he did at the time was not open to him for him to do under the Constitution. When the bill was passed, President Akufo-Addo said that Parliament, through its clerk, should not transmit it to him at all for him to sign. John, you remember? And that the reason he did that, or he's saying that, is because there's a constitutional challenge at the Supreme Court. Amanda Odoi and Richard Sky. Those are the two cases that were challenging it. Right. But where a bill is passed under Article 106, and it is brought to your attention as president, and you have any opposition to it, under Article 106, only two options are available to you. Not to say that don't bring me the bill. There's a constitutional challenge. And Article 106, first, as president, you can state your disagreement with the bill and point out specific provisions that is problematic and refer it to Parliament and say, these are my disagreements, these are my recommendations. Parliament, look at it. That's what the Constitution says. Secondly, you can refer the bill to the Council of State that look at it. And the Council of State recommendation, the President's recommendation, shall be transmitted to Parliament for Parliament to reconsider the bill. That is not what the President did. The President simply refused to sign because he said there's a constitutional challenge at the Supreme Court. In any case, Johnny, quickly, those constitutional challenges were disposed of before they handed over power. Those cases were decided in December 2024, 18 December 2024. If that was truly the excuse for which President Akufo-Addo didn't sign, he could have signed it right after those cases were disposed of. They were simply
at the transition stage.
Yes, no.
The transition says that you are telling the
So
president to
no,
visit him.
so
sign a major bill.
no,
like
wait.
that.
He did not even allow the bill to be transmitted to
Yes,
Let's be
because
honest.
Yes.
there was a legal impediment.
Okay.
No, there was no
we
legal
have to
impediment.
go, gentlemen.
There was no injunction
Let's be
on
honest
Parliament.
here.
As of
the only-
18th,
the
there was
only
no
legal
legal
impediment. First of all,
But it
the
was
only
after the election.
no wait,
Right.
the only
But the
legal
handing over
impediment
has not happened.
The
So
only
it was
legal
the process.
But
the
Johnny,
only
after election.
Hold on.
the only legal
hold on.
impediment. Oh, I have my
Hold
time
on.
in. The only legal impediment.
After elections, that lame duck period still meant that we
They
had
could
a
have passed it.
president.
That's the point I'm making. 18 December.
Myself and Dima agrees. After elections, these major decisions are not to be taken.
How is it a major
Okay.
decision?
Wait,
Parliament has
we
passed
have to
a
go.
bill. No. I just have to clarify.
Quickly,
Lawyer.
their
I
mics
just
are
have to
off.
clarify.
Talk quickly.
I just have to clarify.
30 seconds, then we go.
I just have
Our
to
time is
clarify
up.
that there was no legal impediment. There was no injunction on Parliament. A legal impediment would be in the form of injunction on Parliament not to transmit the bill. The only reason the bill was not before President Kufuor for him to sign was because he had indicated that because there's a constitutional
And
challenge.
you say that matter was decided upon before he left power.
Yes,
so he
18
could have
December.
signed.
In any case,
Okay.
yes, it was decided before he left power. In any case,
Johnny,
Okay.
Johnny,
in any case,
Gentlemen,
we have a
in any case.
transition bill.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
We have a transition.
Gentlemen,
No,
I
the
thank
transition
you.
bill does
We'll
not stop
continue
the
next
president.
week.
Transition.
Benjamin
It does not
Alpha
stop
is a
the
private
president
legal practitioner.
from
He
signing
was
bills.
here on the ticket of the
Yes.
NDC, Engineer Prempe,
We are offering
on the
Yes.
ticket of the
Financial decision.
of the NPP.
Financial decision. Doesn't stop the
Emmanuel
president from
Kutin
signing
was
a bill.
here in his capacity as a counter-terrorism and security expert,
one that you guys
and
know
Solomon
about.
Owu